Bad fucking news. That's all he gives me is. I'm serious. Unemployment
latest?
rates, gas prices, all this stuff, right? Anyway,
That's how the news is today. You got to keep
that's the way it
people
is.
in
Bad
fear.
fucking news. That's all he gives me is.
All right. Apple's a good guy, though, man. I just saw him at the Blue Jays game. He's a good guy.
You know what? I want to play golf with him. Actually, I correspond with him back and forth. But he seems like a very nice fellow, and he's a golfer. So right off the bat, he's got to be a good guy.
And he's a Hebsy On Sports fan.
I think so.
No, I know. Yeah, I know for a fact. I get notes from him and stuff. He likes Hebsy On Sports. He likes Toronto Mike. He's a big fan of
good
what we're cooking here.
I'm glad.
All right, I'm going to tweet that. I'm going to tweet that link.
Go ahead and tweet that link, and I will retweet once you've tweeted. And
in that order,
right? And since we're live on the red carpet, right? 6 minutes from blast off today, and just a ton of things to talk about. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's going well. My mom's in the hospital. She's in the ICU. Yeah, she's in the ICU, and so just the last couple of days have been a little.
I'm sorry to hear that.
A bummer, because we just celebrated their 90th, hers and my dad's 90th birthday. But anyway, so fingers crossed, pray for my mom. And geez, man, such a real busy week with like trade deadline stuff and political sports kind of stories and vaccination, right? Like just stuff if I would have said to you a couple of years ago, these are the things we're going to be talking about, you said, what are you, nuts?
Right.
Vaccination status? We're talking about the baseball trade deadline.
No, you'd be like vaccination scar. That's a good tragedy.
Yeah, right. That's a good tragically. Actually, it's not. No, if you compared it with others.
I know, but it was a good. Okay, it's for the later period. It was solid single, I would say. But I hear what you're saying. It depends what you compare it to. But you need to retweet the link there.
Will do.
It's like later hip vaccination scar.
Yeah. That's a tough one for me. That's very difficult. Very difficult. There's just so much good material, and some of it is better than others, right? It's not that the other stuff isn't good. It's good, but then there's great, and then there's fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was later era, but I remember when vaccination scars was a big radio signal. When it would come on the radio, I would dig it. So it was sort of like I was glad to hear it on the radio, but you're right. It was it's not, road apples material.
No. Heck no. I just tweeted, instead of talking sports, taking sports. Yeah, I gotta.
Well, I'm sorry for distracting you here.
No. It's talking sports with impunity.
Well, I gotta say hi to While you do that, I gotta say hi to Lethbridge. I love it that Lethbridge checks in every. And I want to tell. It's early, but those checking out the rewind here. By the way, hello to Gordon Enright as well. We're not on Friday next week, right? Let me check the calendar here.
No, we are.
Oh, yeah.
No, we are. We're on Friday next week. It's the 2 weeks after that, the 18th and the 25th instead of the 19th and the 26th. We're going to back it up a day on the.
Okay, so we are on next Friday. You're right. It is of course you're right. The 18th instead of the 19th. So if anyone's taking notes, but I'll remind everybody.
So I want to take a couple of long weekends, and if Mike said to me, guys, if the internet is dicey, if it's then we really can't do the show. Because the last thing you want is technical issues. So I can't guarantee that where I'm going to be on those Friday mornings is going to get, right. Good. And I've got to take my laptop with me and microphone and the whole deal like that. So I figure maybe I'll call Mike and, maybe we can do it on a Thursday, right?
Because nobody wants Toronto Mike on sports. Nobody's asking for that.
And to me, it's sort of like daylight savings time. Like, you're used to getting up at a certain time. Well, you're going to get up at a different time. Instead of it being Fridays, it'll be Thursdays for a couple of weeks.
Just a couple.
And then we'll go back Friday. This was the Hebsy Awards when they first started on Global were on Tuesdays. They were Tuesdays because we waited for the Monday Night Football highlights and stuff like that would come. And then we would, have a whole day to put it all together, and we'd run it Tuesdays. And then people were going, no. TSN is running their plays of the week on Mondays with Michael Landsberg and Brandon Connors. I'm like, what? So I said, no, we got to do it. We got to do it Mondays. So it put a lot of pressure on the producers of the show because they had to find all the material. And while putting the Sportsline show together, they also had to ensure that the clips were put together for the Hebsies and then give them to me so that I could sit with the editor and do it. And you're on deadline. On Tuesday was much easier. You'd have some stuff put together by Monday, and then you'd add a few things from the Monday Night Football thing and do it. So anyway, to make a long story short, if that's possible at this point.
To make a long story longer.
Yeah, what happened when we eventually did move it to Mondays, and then people were like, "Oh, I'm used to watching it on Tuesdays, and I can't watch it on Mondays because Mondays is this," and the whole bullshit like that, right? And I don't even remember now. I just remember this. When we were on the early days, we had the most solid lineup on Global. Like you could watch Global TV seriously for all afternoon and all evening and into the early morning hours and never switch channels. And I know people that were like this because where they lived, they could only get one or two channels. And Global, if it's in Ontario, was one of them. In Timmins or Timiskaming, right. Whatever the fuck, right? You know, it was like, oh, I can get the Global signal.
Right.
But, you know, the local CBC repeater station, and then maybe that was it. And so they watched Global all day. And in the evenings, man, Global had like top shows. And then the news was solid. Sportsline was great. Right after Sportsline was Mary Tyler Moore. Hello. 7,000 Emmys on that. And then Letterman. Right. And so it was, you know, there was.
I watched a lot of Global because you had Simpsons, for example. Like,
this was before the Simpsons even existed, but I was on.
I know, 89.
Wait a second. No, actually, that's not true.
Simpsons.
No, but Simpsons didn't start on Global in 89. That would have been Fox, WUTV, but I don't think they were on Global in 89.
Actually, I know we're about to start, but the first episode of The Simpsons didn't even air on WUTV because the affiliate in Buffalo was having a fight with Fox or whatever, and they weren't carrying Fox for like a brief period, and that was when Simpsons debuted. So anyone in Toronto who says they watched the first episode live, you got to ask them like, oh, where did you watch it? Because apparently it was like impossible to pull it down in Toronto.
Yeah, I really think it's hard for us to recall what was live back then, right? Obviously there's scheduled shows, but yeah, the other thing was like last night, Pat Tabler is talking about, oh yeah, I was one of Bill Gullickson's 18 punch outs the night he set the record. And I'm like, I don't think so. I was there. Pat, you weren't playing. But what am I going to do? I'm going to yell at Pat? So, and then he sort of said, I think it was that game. And I thought, well, let me look up Gullickson's other big strikeout numbers, right? Where Pat would have been playing. Right. And it's true. And Pat's rookie season was 81, the strike season. He didn't come up until August when the strike ended, right? So he wasn't there the first part. And so, you know, it would have been his, 15th or 20th major league game. And he's in Montreal with the Cubs and he gets, he faces Gullickson and Gullickson punches him out. One of 13 punch outs that night. And that's where Tabler probably thought I would think I was part of a record. So it wasn't the 18 strikeout night of Gullickson. It was the 13 strikeout night. So I let Scott Carson know about this and sort of tweeted it out there, not yelling at Pat, but kind of like, how can you remember? I mean, he played all those games. How does he remember exactly which game that was? He remembers striking out against Gullickson at Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, but you would remember a record game.
But you would or you wouldn't. I don't know that. I can't say for sure. You were embarrassed. You were embarrassed that you got punched out. Now someone says, was it the 18 strikeout game of Gullickson or was it the 13 strikeout? You think, I don't know. All I know is he had a bunch of strikeouts that night and the crowd was going wild. But anyway.
All right. Your crowd is going wild. You ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock, baby. Give me
all right, Hebsy, man. Here we go, buddy.
Right, baby, let's go.
Recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington, just 45 minutes from downtown Toronto. You'll find the most beautiful, the most gorgeous, and the most affordable public golf course in Ontario. Trust me on this one, folks. Outstanding customer service. It's a great golf course. I shot 84 there the other day. Man. Yeah, I don't know if I could play anywhere else, really. $1 million views, excellent food, great beverages, tremendous choice there, and a terrific driving range and practice area. And of course, like a championship golf course to die for and always in pristine condition. And if you book your tee time online rather than by phone, you save $10 per golfer, which, as you know, is $40 per foursome.
Wow.
That's enough to have lunch at the Back Nine Bistro, brewski, or whatever with your buddies. Go to crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time online. And when you get there, you make sure, don't forget, tell them Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, let's begin the podcast. Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Hebsy On Sports, episode number 296. Mark Hebsher, along with Toronto Mike, and we've got a sensational show for you today. And I mean that sincerely. Well, how can I be sincere if I'm saying the show's sensational hasn't even started? Let's start with the Blue Jays and their latest acquisition, Whit Merrifield. Remember a few weeks ago, I wanted to fucking kill this guy, this motherfucker, right? Wouldn't come to Toronto, don't want to get vaxxed. And let's be honest, anyone that wouldn't get vaxxed to us as Canadians, we took it personally, right? You won't get vaxxed to come to Canada, huh? What kind of a teammate are you? Well, guess what? He's one of us now. What kind of a teammate is he going to be? And we don't even know if he's fully vaxxed. He says he's good to go in Toronto. He says so. But that's not for another 10 days. I don't know. I don't know if I like this guy. I know he had a couple of hits yesterday. I don't know. I don't know if I like this guy. Right? Oh, if it's a playoff team now, I'll get vaxxed. Right? I mean, is this the Aaron Rodgers vax? Yeah, I'm vaxxed. I'm what's the word I'm thinking of? Not vax, but it's something like vax. I'm immune. That's it. I'm immune.
Inoculated.
Yeah, I'm immune, and I also did hallucinogens. I think I should tell you, I was doing peyote, LSD. Aaron Rodgers, what's going on? He says he felt himself merge with the ocean. Okay, got it. U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison for having less than a gram of hash oil. You could have fucking smoked that before you got on the plane, for crying out loud. Jeez, that's terrible. It was a dumb mistake, but come on, 9 years. Meanwhile, the U.S. continues to allow certain Russians who are friendly with Vladimir Putin to have a work permit in the United States. One guy in particular is going to break Gretzky's record. Should they let him? What's the deal here? Griner's in jail, and this dude he's got Putin on his avatar, his social media avatar. What's wrong with this picture? Should the Blue Jays retire Tony Fernandez jersey number 1? They gave it to Whit Merrifield. What the fuck? Come on. The poor guy's been dead 2 years. You're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Blue Jays' first World Series coming up soon. Retire jersey number 1. Don't give it to Whit fucking Merrifield. God damn it. By the way, should the Jays invite Robbie Alomar and Kelly Gruber to their 30th anniversary World Series festivities later this month? I'm just picking those two guys out because they've had issues, but they were on that team. Should Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns be suspended for more than just 6 games? Yeah, we've got it all covered on today's show. It's a big one. Let's say hi to Toronto Mike in the Toronto Mike Studios, the mothership in New Toronto.
Hebsy, man, how you doing? Loving this, loving the summer
think?
weather, loving the heat, and very little rain. But when you get it, usually it's at night when you're ready for a good storm. I'm digging this, man. I hope you're having a great summer.
I am. Fantastic summer. Fantastic. By the way, to our listeners here, normally we do Fridays. This is Friday. Twice this month, I'm going to be away on Fridays in places where I don't know if the internet connection or the dial-up or whatever is going to be strong enough to support the show. So on your calendars, the 19th and 26th of August, those are Fridays. Switch those to the 18th and 25th. So you'll get up a day early and you'll listen to the show or watch the show on the Thursday, just a couple times this month. It's the summer, all right? I didn't want to take the days off and leave you void of a Hebsy on Sports podcast for that week. So we're going to switch up days. And it's cool with Mike, so all right?
Hebsy on Thursday is better than no Hebsy at all.
Thank you. That's why I say that all the time on Thursdays.
Get that on a T-shirt.
Yeah. All right. Mike, we got to get into this now because the Blue Jays are, I'm going to say categorically, will be in the playoffs this year. They'll make the playoffs. They will be one of the 3 wildcard teams. They should be the number 1 wildcard team, which will ensure that they have home field advantage in the best of 3 wildcard series. All 3 games would be in Toronto. Okay? So that's there's your first step. Get to the playoffs, right? Get the home field advantage, at least the wildcard. You're not going to beat out the Yankees for the division. Yeah, the American League is stuff, blah, blah, blah. But home field advantage, so you've got at least 2 games at home, playoffs, right? So this is the setup. You've got to have a team that's ready for this. You got to make sure your pitching staff's okay. You got to make sure your George Springer's arm is going to be, or elbow is manageable. So these next couple months is key, and this is where John Schneider has to have the right mix of players, and so that he can insert and rest and. A little more rehab there. Oh, Springer's elbow's not good enough. Okay. He's not playing center field. All right. We got to get this dude here, this unvaxxed guy. Oh, no, I'm vaxxed. We'll get into that in a sec. But anyway, here's the story. 3 weeks ago, Mike, 3 weeks ago, the Kansas City Royals traveled to Toronto to play the Blue Jays. In advance of that trip, they told, I think it was a few days in advance, that 10 of their players would not attend because of their vaccination status. So immediately we're like, who the fuck? Who? Which 10? And one of them was Whit Merrifield, right? And we're going, Whit Merrifield, we know this guy. He kills us. He kills us for years. Good ball player, Whit Merrifield. So I believe I said at the time, no, I did say at the time, I don't believe it, unless I was hallucinating and it was with Aaron Rodgers. I didn't. I said, this fucker, who the fuck does this fucking guy think he is? Because he had said, I may change my mind depending on whether the team has a chance of a playoff run. He sort of intimated that, which was just, you fuck. Like, why would you say that? Well, get vaccinated or don't. But now don't say, I might, because what he did was he basically said, well, the Royals aren't going anywhere. And so I can afford to take these couple of games off. It was 4 games. I believe the Royals played in Toronto. I can afford to take these games off because the team's not going anywhere. But he hinted that if it was a playoff team, playoff bound, he could change his status. So right then I said, this fuck. What is that? I wouldn't want this guy on my team. I wouldn't.
Well, that's honesty, Hebsy.
But again, but I wouldn't want him on my team.
Right.
But obviously, somewhere along the line, someone said, nitwit, if you want to get out of Kansas City and maybe make the playoffs for once in your career at the age of 33, you may want to rethink this and get yourself educated, because whether you go to Toronto or any other team, like the Yankees or whatever, you're going to have to go into Toronto and he explain that also to get into the United States, And so, okay, yeah, whatever. And now we trade for this dude. We trade, right? For a guy who said he might change his mind about being vaccinated if he were playing for a team that had a chance for a playoff run, unlike the lowly Royals. And that's all you needed to know about the guy. So the other day when the Jays acquired Merrifield, immediately the question was, is he vaccinated? And so the game began. The media game began. The Atkins media game began. You got Merrifield. One question. Is he vaccinated? Well, I can't answer that. I'm not allowed to answer that. There's rules. There's medical. You can't reveal medical situation, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, we're peppering this guy. And I'm saying, come on, there's no way. There's no way the Blue Jays would have made this deal unless it was contingent upon him being fully vaccinated. There's no way they would have made the deal unless he said, okay, I promise. Or he said to them, yes, I am. Like, did they say, can you show us your status? Or should we just believe you? Like Evander Kane. Oh, yep. Oh, yeah, I'm vaccinated. Like, do you believe the guy? So this is my problem here, Mike. This is my problem here I have. Atkins deferred to Merrifield, saying it was up to the player. It was up to the player to not only answer the question, but to explain however he wanted to, if he wanted to, if he felt he had to, his status. Come on. The Jays would never make a deal for a guy unless they knew he could play in Canada, right, Mike?
I think you're right on that one.
Come on, there's no way, right? There's no way. He said, "You have my." Merrifield said, "You have my assurances. I'm going to be back. I will be able to play in Canada, because look at the schedule. They don't have to be back in Canada for 9-10 days, and you get the I don't know which shot, but whatever the Johnson is.
Johnson.
There's a 14-day, and that 14 days after the shot, boom, you're good to go, right?
Right.
So he can count. If he can calculate his batting average on the way to first base, he can figure that out, right? So when did he get? So now it's like, when did he get vaccinated? Did he get vaccinated? Was it one shot? Did he do one shot and he does another one after that? Like, what combination of, and do we need to know? So when the game is on last night and Hazel May sits down with Merrifield and asks him straight up, as she should, as she did, as everyone expected,
right?
And he said, basically, I'm good to go in Canada. Or words to that effect. I don't have the exact quote. But remember, this is a guy who was playing possum with us a couple of weeks ago. Like, what does that quote mean? What exactly? Like, was that a definitive, yes, I have been fully vaccinated? Or was that I'm good to go? You see? It was like Aaron Rodgers. So, no, Hazel can't say, so, Whit, you're fully vaxxed like the rest of your teammates now?
Yeah, like a follow-up.
But not accusatory. So right. It's like, okay, so you're good. So you're like the rest of your teammates. You're good. You're fully vaxxed.
Right.
And if he goes, well, then you got to know that there's something going on here, man. that somewhere so he got maybe a jab or some doctor said to him, "Oh, you'll be fine. You did your research, you'll be fine. You'll get a shot a week before you go or what, who knows." But he never said, "Yeah, I'm fully vaxxed." He said, "I'm good to go. I'm good to go." That's like your buddy who's hungover the next day and you go and you can see he's freaking bleary eyed and all that. And you say, "Are you okay to drive?" "I'm good to go." Yeah, I'm good to go.
Well, it's a little different than that, but I hear you.
Well, no, but you know what I mean? I'm good to go. Okay. And now I can say, look, privacy issues. I don't have to explain to you how many shots I had, what they were, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. I don't talk to other players and ask them. I'm good to go. So we should accept that. Well, I don't know about this guy. I think this guy I don't know. I'm worried. Okay.
Are you worried he won't be able to cross the border when he has to come here and play at the Dome? Is that a legit worry you have right now?
No, I'm worried that this guy's not the kind of teammate that you want to have. That's just it. That's all it is. I mean, I hope, look, if he's going to play, I hope he plays great and the team wins. But I don't know, man.
You're not feeling this guy.
I wasn't feeling him 3 weeks ago, and I haven't changed my mind because he still is being evasive. No reason to be evasive. Like, just say, "I'm fully vaxxed and proud to be a Toronto Blue Jay, and let's put this behind us. I don't want this to be an issue ever again. I had to discuss it with my family or not, whatever the fuck." But come on, man.
Yeah. What's with the cryptic language? Like,
it's
clear
and come on. And remember, he was not well respected a few weeks ago when he casually said that he might change his status if he were dealt to a contending team. That attitude, if you recall, people were like turned off by that. What do you mean? You mean you're dogging it with KC? Like you don't care? You'll forfeit your salary for 4 games to prove your point? And now you've changed your mind now because you got a chance to go to the playoffs? I don't like this guy.
Yeah, you know
That's all I'm saying.
You're the Hebsy On Sports fans that are live on YouTube right now are agreeing with you. Gordon says he seems greasy. I think that's a good word.
That's a good word, but not greasy, greasy. Like you make it, instead of an S, it's like a Z, right? Like greasy jungle.
Right.
Like Gordon Downey, greasy. Gordon Downey doesn't say greasy jungle. He goes greasy. It's more of a Z.
Yeah, like rhymes of breezy.
Greasy. Like it's more gritty. Anyway, yeah. And here's another thing. I think this guy, Merrifield's a fucking phony. And to me, like I'll be really honest with you on this one.
Yeah.
If he had any kind of class, they said, "Here's jersey number 1." And he said, "I'll take 2, I'll take 3, I'll take 10, but I can't take Tony Fernandez's number." The man just passed away, legendary. 30th anniversary coming up of the Blue Jays' first World Series. This guy was a legendary man. I can't take his number 1, right? Like that would have been, like, I would have forgiven him for all of it if he would have done that. Because I'm watching him wearing number 1. I'm going, that's disgusting to see that. It's fucking disgusting that the Jays have allowed this to happen, right? I'm just trying to think now. I know. Gerard Dyson last year wore number 1. I remember, Mike, I said, what's he wearing? But the one was the year before. A month after Fernandez died, remember? Shun Yamaguchi.
Right.
Number 1. A pitcher. And they said, "Oh, yeah, here's number 1. Tony just died. He died in February. Tony died in February of 2020. And they gave this number 1. I remember going, that's fucking disgusting. Fucking Shapiro and Atkins. Right? Shapiro, and see, we didn't make a big deal about it because the Jays never played here in 2020. So there was never that, it was often a distance. Right. And then in 2021 last year, well, they played some, but you know what I mean? Like later in the season and all that. So that it never really came up. But to see a player run out onto the field at the Dome wearing number 1, okay? And not even a great player, like not even a possible protege of Tony Fernandez, another Dominican shortstop. I'm
and you already think he's greasy.
Yeah. So if Merrifield had any class, he would say, "Oh, I can't take number 1. I'll take 2. I'll take 3 because they're available. 2 and 3 are available, and 10's available, and 14's available." Okay, so, but think about it: Shun Yamaguchi and Gerard Dyson. Okay, after Tony died,
right?
That number should be retired.
That's a great. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off mid-sentence there. What were you saying?
No, I'm just.
It's a great debate. Like, because right now, we were wrong about the Leafs last week. So we thought only 2 numbers were retired. It turns out they've retired every other number. Like all those numbers are retired. Like 13 and 17 and 27. Like these are all retired apparently. But what Blue Jay numbers are currently retired? Do we know? Do we
Retired? No.
Retired. Like, have they retired any numbers? The Toronto Blue Jays.
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're suggesting
whose number would they have retired?
I don't know if Roy Halladay's was retired or
Halladay. No one's worn it, but has it officially been retired? The 32? No. Steve's 37 is worn by Tasker and Henry.
Yes, right.
So
why is that okay?
Wait a second. Hang on.
Yeah.
Alomar. See, here's Alomar. No one has worn 12 since Alomar. I don't believe anyone's worn 12. I could be wrong.
And that one ain't getting retired.
And but that was they took his number down, which leads to the next story, which is you invite Alomar and Kelly Gruber to the 30th anniversary. I mean, this is all kind of wrapped up in one.
Okay.
You want to celebrate, if you want to celebrate the past and you want to really glorify the Blue Jays, who've been around for 45 years now, that's a long enough time to establish yourself as a franchise, as a part of the fabric of this country and certainly of this city.
Right.
You have to look after 45 years. You have to take a look and say, all right, what number deserves to be retired? How do we honor the Alomar thing? I thought was very hasty. Like boom, bang, done. Not part of any like criminal charges. Like what? No, you're not part of Major League Baseball because you violated their sexual harassment policy. All right, that's fine, and he should be punished. But I thought it was pretty quick the way they. Okay, that's it. Nothing.
Well, part of the thing there we're feeling, I think, is that we didn't get a single detail. So it was basically, we're not going to tell you what happened. You have to trust us that what we were told happened was severe enough that you'd be okay with what we're doing. And then we just sort of, we trust you. Like but we don't know a thing.
I think it's still in the courts or there's something going on because not a peep. And I know Alomar's people and I've spoken to them. It's not a peep.
Right.
He says nothing. He has to let I won't even speculate on that. All I know is this. Does he deserve to be invited? Considering he was a key member of those two championship teams, does he deserve an invite? Mike.
Okay, so my thought, first of all, I'm told by Scott Mayo on the YouTube channel that Halladay's 32 is retired, and apparently 12 might be retired as well.
That's right. Now that I think of it, that's right. He brought his wife, his widow, and his sons in, and they had a ceremony, and they fit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So my thoughts on this again. And
tell me.
I know what you know, but I just taking the pulse of the nation right now.
Oh, come on! I want your answer. I don't want
0%. Well, again, 0%.
Would you invite Roberto Alomar as part of the 30th anniversary celebrations of the World Series championship teams? Yes,
you can't. You can't invite Roberto Alomar.
You are so fucking wrong on this.
Let's hear your take.
My God, he's a member of the team. He's a member of the team. He's not in prison.
You can't rip a guy's name off the level of excellence and then invite him to the 30. You can't do both.
Wow.
Like once you rip his name off the level of excellence, you're not inviting him to anything. Let's hear your take because I have a different thought on Kelly Gruber.
If I'm a member of that team, and I find out that Roberto Alomar is not going to be there, I feel that that's a disservice.
But he's not going to be there.
How do you know?
I would bet every penny I have right now that Alomar is not invited to that.
Really?
Yeah, what are the Bodog odds?
Really? Give a fuck for Bodog. Why would you say that, though? I mean, was he convicted of anything?
No, but clearly there was an edict from MLB that
from MLB, right? In other words, he's your persona non grata. You're not part of MLB anymore, right?
Right.
There was no, to my knowledge, criminal investigation, whatever. And how do you serve that sentence? Okay, you lose your job, you lose your status with Major League Baseball. But should you lose your status as one of the great players ever to wear a Blue Jay uniform?
Well, they don't invite Pete Rose to MLB.
Well, wait, this isn't Pete Rose, Mike. Honest to God, if I could come to that, I'd punch you in the head.
Well, you know my address. Let's go.
Let's go. Because, you're telling me that you wouldn't invite him. You would not invite this man to come. Because if you invited him, he would just what? He would contaminate all the other Blue Jays and their fans?
The fans won't want anything to do with the ceremony if he's there. Like, it completely would distract from what you're celebrating.
You wouldn't.
They don't even show his highlight anymore at the Dome.
Let's ask the fans. Would you welcome Roberto Alomar as part of the 30th anniversary celebration? Would you? I would. And I would also invite, and also Kelly Gruber, because they were part of the team.
Two different stories here.
And their team, no, they're not. One story. Story.
One is a guy who got hammered and then was disrespectful.
One story. Why? What? Do you know what Roberto Alomar did? You don't know. You have no idea. Do you know how strict Major League Baseball's policy is in-house of sexual harassment? Do you know anything about that about the complainant and what her history was? how many people she called out and they lost their status. So instead of judging, why don't you say, man, I loved watching him play. He was a key member to that team. Love to have you.
Well, we can't even have this conversation.
Oh, yes, we can. You've got a grudge. Now you've got a grudge.
I don't have a grudge. Alomar, I have great memories of Alomar, but
why wouldn't you invite him? So why wouldn't you invite him?
You can't literally. I see the line still when I'm at the Dome where Robbie Alomar's name was. Like, you can't literally peel off his name from the level of excellence and then say, Robbie, come to our 30th World Series anniversary celebration. Like,
yeah, you could. Yeah, you could invite him.
But can I just say, for Kelly Gruber's sake, that these are two different things. Like, Kelly Gruber, as I understand it, it was at that Pitch Talks event with Ashley Docking where he drank too much alcohol and then was disrespectful to Ashley Docking, right? That's his crime against humanity. Is there anything I'm missing?
Did Robbie Alomar ever do anything in front of Blue Jays fans similar to what Kelly Gruber did to besmirch the Blue Jays in person? Did he?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay. All right. So what do we know about Kelly Gruber? What do we know about Robbie Alomar? And were there transgressions such that they should or shouldn't be invited? You're saying Robbie Alomar should not be because they peeled his name off the level of excellence, and that Kelly Gruber should be because he got drunk once.
I would forgive. I think there's room for forgiveness with Mr. Gruber.
How about in both? How about it with Robbie Alomar? Why don't you show some forgiveness? Okay, he was a fantastic player, and he lost his job, which maybe is punishment enough, but not for you. No, don't invite him. Anyway,
we're talking about a guy and we have no clue what the hell he did. All we know is he's been erased from Blue Jays history by the officially sanctioned historians. Like, literally erased. You can't.
Let's ask the fans. I'm just saying, would you like to see Robbie Alomar at the 30th anniversary? Yes or no?
Or just early. I'm just looking over. Just real quick.
You and I disagree on this one.
Sure. So Jeremy V agrees with you.
I don't want to hear it now. We'll get into it later. You want it later. Let me start collecting it all.
Okay.
Let's talk about this team that's going to make the playoffs this year in front of 39,000 fans, most of whom were from fucking Kenora, Rainy River, Thunder Bay, Winnipeg, Moosomin, whatever. All of part of Western Canada and Northwestern Ontario showed up. They were all there. But they're going to be there for the whole weekend as the Jays take on Minnesota, beat them 9-3 last night. All right. Alek Manoah for the second game in a row. I don't know what the odds would be on this one. Second game in a row gets hit on the pitching arm with a comebacker. Okay. The guy is made of steel. He takes two whacks right off the pitch. He's fine. Shook it off. Mind you, he didn't have his best game, but he wasn't pitching that great before he got hit. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, 4 walks for Alek. In fact, he walked a guy. He hit a guy with the bases loaded. Right, man. He was off, but still they won. Meza and Garcia each went a scoreless inning, and newly reacquired Anthony Bass gave up a home run in the 9th inning. Final score was 9-3. Jays banged out 13 hits, including a 3-run bomb by Vladdy, his 22nd and first in 16 games, according to Bubba O'Neill, who tweeted last night, "What's with Vladdy? Vladdy only 1 homer in his last 16 games. That's not good enough." And then like 10 minutes later, boom. Shot. Solo blast from Teoscar, his 16th of the year. Game 2 is tonight with Jose Barrios, or is it Barrios? Going up against his old mates. Tyler Mahle goes for the Twinkies. Jays own the top wildcard spot, 2.5 games up on Seattle, 3 better than Tampa. And they must hold on to that spot in order to have home field advantage in the best of 3 wildcard series, all games in Toronto. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Nicolas Cage lookalike, blah, blah. Fucking right-winger weirdo. Claimed last year that the NFL was conducting a witch hunt. Remember that, Mike? A witch hunt. After he casually told reporters he was immunized, but never did say that he was vaccinated. He was fucking around with people. Same like Merrifield was kind of doing the same thing, but he's not nearly as high profile, but still didn't like him. Don't like that shit. Okay. I'm sure Packer fans will forgive him because they're Packer fans and I get that. But yeah, this is the same Aaron Rodgers who admitted recently that the best year of his career came after he ingested ayahuasca tea, which has an ingredient known as DMT, which is used as a recreational psychedelic drug. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about my childhood, but I've ingested some hallucinogens in my time.
Really?
Okay. Many years ago, right? Now, how old's Aaron Rodgers? 40, 38, something like that. All right, great. So he's taking this stuff and it's illegal, folks. This is a psychedelic drug, man. This is freaking acid. This is shrooms.
Psilocybin, I think we call it.
Psilocybin, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay. So Rodgers says, so they said, well, how did you feel? He says, after taking it, quote, I felt myself merge with the ocean. So, Mike, here's my question. All right. This guy's taking an illegal psychedelic drug. All right. There's drug testing in sports. There's this. And this guy is basically saying, fuck all of you. I'm not immunized. I'm immunized, but I'm not vaccinated. All right. And remember, he was talking with reporters without wearing a mask and all that kind of a thing, right? And now he's saying, not only am I not vaccinated, but I take recreational drugs. I mean, I've been ingesting ayahuasca tea. Jesus Christ, really? The fuck? So should the NFL get involved here? I mean, if you're suspending guys for, I'm not way worse crimes, but if you have a drug policy. And now one of your star players is basically saying, yeah, man, I'm taking LSD. What the fuck? Am I making too much of this?
Yeah, like I'm hoping the NFL doesn't do anything here. Like I'd hate to see them come down on somebody for taking recreational psilocybin. Like I don't know.
But it's illegal.
Yeah, I know, okay. But illegal schmeagle. Like it's you're not harming anybody. I would love to hear your take on this. I know you want Alomar at the 30th anniversary. Do you want Aaron Rodgers to get the NFL sanction somehow for taking?
I think so. I think Aaron Rodgers. I don't think you can go out there and say, yeah, I've been doing psychedelic drugs and again, remember you're admitting that you're doing something that's against the law in a drug culture where the league itself. Right, does not want to hear of any player, certainly no player. I'm not talking about steroids here. Just don't want any player coming out and saying that they're taking drugs, especially at Aaron Rodgers. So if he feels he's above the law, man, maybe the NFL should, bring him down a peg or two. We'll talk more about the NFL and their laws in a couple minutes about another transgressor. But first, this story about U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner, who was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison after being convicted of possessing less than 1 gram of hash oil, which she says was in her luggage by mistake. And she had no intention of, dealing drugs or, getting the Russian population hooked on, marijuana or anything like that, right? She made a mistake, but that's a pretty big mistake. And in Russia too, like grown woman, not a teenager. Come on. You were in a hurry, you were stressed, you had it in your luggage. Okay. So in essence, what happened here was she had to plead guilty in order for there to be a prisoner exchange possibility between the Russians and the Americans. And now you're into several levels of diplomacy and State Department and fucking foreign affairs. That's way beyond me. But basically it comes down to this. Once Griner admitted that her guilt and was sentenced, now there can be because the Russian system has to look like it was the correct system, the judicial system. Now they can make arrangements. The only problem is that the Russians are going to want these killers, murderers that are in U.S. prisons or prisons elsewhere. They're going to want them released in exchange for Brittany Griner. Right? They're using her for sure as a pawn because she's a big name and people are like, come on, bring her back. This is like ridiculous.
Right.
Which brings up the question, and this was, and I'm going to give credit here to broadcaster Keith Olbermann, who pointed out that if Alexander Ovechkin, who has Putin on his avatar, his Instagram avatar, and is obviously a very good friend and supporter of Putin and his regime, if he's allowed to work in the United States, have a U.S. work permit, right?
Right.
What's wrong with this picture? Why is he allowed to be a Putin supporter, earn money in the United States, and have a work permit when Brittany Griner is going to spend, has been sentenced to 9 years for like hash oil? Like, this doesn't make sense. Something has to be done here. So, could you go to Alex Ovechkin and say, sorry, man, we're not renewing your work permit?
That'll be the swap. Let's do that swap. Could you go back to Russia and we bring Griner back to America?
Could you do that though? See, I mean, this is a guy on his way to breaking Gretzky's record, and you're going, wait a minute, this guy's a Putin supporter. This guy supports this regime, which means he supports, keeping Brittany Griner in jail because he's a Putin supporter. He's a buddy. Like, that's very distasteful.
It is wild he still has that picture as his Twitter. Like right now, you can
I know.
It's still there.
But here's the thing. If he takes it down, Putin calls him and says, we're threatening your family. What did you do? Taking down that avatar. And believe me, once he takes it down, the whole world's going to know that. And Putin's going to be one of the first to know. What the fuck, Ovechkin? Anyway, I just,
all very interesting. Now, Brian points out that there's this swap is probably prearranged or whatever. Like this sentence doesn't mean anything. It's all symbolic because there is a swap that will take place now to bring
may take place. But just remember the backlash when the family of the person that was murdered by the guy that's being swapped for Brittany Griner, the family says, what the fuck?
Right.
You're letting this guy go back to Russia for a basketball player?
Right.
My family was killed by this guy. These terrorists. Right. Okay. And now you're getting into other stuff like the same with the Live Golf Tour. Like you're taking money from these guys, murderers. Like, okay, where's it all coming from? Anyway, I tell you this right now. If Ovechkin is still has Putin, is still Putin's buddy, when he comes close to breaking Gretzky's record, it's going to be a shit show. All right. Because Ovi has to know, he must know that this is wrong. It's wrong for him to do that. But is he in a situation where he can't get out of that? And if he does,
talking about it, so
he won't talk about it.
Right.
Still, I find it very distasteful. Speaking of distasteful, Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns was suspended for 6 games by, I guess, an independent arbiter, which I found to be odd anyway. But a 6-game suspension, and immediately people were like, 6 games. There's like 70 some odd women that have come forward charging him with sexual assault, one of whom, who was supposed to keep quiet, broke her silence and came forward yesterday to say, like, I don't care what happened, that people know who I am. This can't happen. 6 games. So the National Football League came out and said the other day that they are appealing the suspension. So at first I thought, they think 6 games is too much. And then I realized, no. The NFL has got to save face here. Okay. They've got to, in light of what's happened in recent years, stuff they've swept under the rug. They've delayed the Ray Rice thing in the elevator. Like fucking tons. The NFL is the worst. They got to make it right. So now it's up to Goodell. He can say, we don't think 6 games is nearly enough. We want it to be 1 year or 2 years or whatever. I mean, when you're accused of multiple sexual assaults against massage therapists, one of whom has come forward. You talk about brave. You talk about guts, chutzpah, that this woman should come forward on national television, have her face seen and say, this is what happened to me. And this cannot happen to others. And the NFL has to do something.
Couple of thoughts. One, they structured his salary, right? So that he wouldn't.
So he only makes $1 million this year. So if he misses 6 games, he loses $400,000 in salary. That's bullshit too. And even if he misses the whole year, he loses $1 million. It's all fucked up.
Fucked up. And then think about what they did to Ricky Williams for smoking weed.
Yep. Oh, wait a second. What did they do to Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, that one's
this whole fucking
less
league.
documented.
This league has got so much money and so much power and so blind to social issues. It's not even funny. And you've got guys running around multiple, like, come on, 70 some odd time. What the fuck? Like, who knew? This is another thing. Here's another thing. Who knew? And can these people sleep at night? Like, if you knew that Deshaun Watson was doing all this, like, could you really sleep at night? Knowing that he's going to get caught. And then they're going to come to you and you're going to go, I didn't know. I had no idea. Like, really?
Well, ask the Hockey Canada people about
that. Oh, see, you know what? I'm taking a break from that story this week because it's going, it'll move at its own pace. Novak Djokovic has pulled out of the National Bank Open in Montreal. Is that called the Rodgers Cup? Is it the Rodgers Coupe Roger at the Banque Nationale, Louvre? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's the Montreal one. The men are there this year. And it's his vax status. He hasn't changed. He's not going to vax. And the U.S. Opens in a few weeks. He's not going to vax.
Right. There's 2 countries.
But he's honest about it. You see, at least he's honest about it.
Right.
He didn't wait till the draw, which is today, I think, right? He didn't wait for the draw like last time and then say, oh, I'm pulling out, which the Australian Open or whatever, fuck the whole thing around. But at least he did that. But at least he says, I'm not vaxxed. Okay, like I give him that. I can't stand the guy anyway, but I give him that. Not like Whit Merrifield. Oh, yeah, I'm good to go. Come on. So, get the shot and you can play here. And if you don't give a shit about the US Open, it doesn't mean that much to you. You'll do it. Maybe by next year, Australia will, they already have. They'll let him in next year. That's not till next January or February. Like he'll get his record number of Grand Slams and he's not going to change his status just to satisfy,
Oh, no, at this, he's in deep.
Nah.
He's married to the principal here. Like he's, you will never get that jab in his arm. There's no logic involved.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I watched Bianca Andreescu this week. She's not good, not well. She's injured. Her back. It's really sad. It's too bad. She's 22 years old. Right?
I know you called her a flash in the pan once, and then I was like,
more than once. No, more than once.
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
She
played. She was a great player at that time.
2019.
She got a couple of good breaks, but she was awesome. But as so many other athletes in the past, and look, I mean, the combination of injuries and COVID, and I think her mental health too. I just, I think what's happened with Naomi Osaka has really brought to light the struggles. I always thought for years, when you looked at young girls, especially like Jennifer Capriati or, and you think, they were teenagers when they started. It's a lonely existence on the road. You've got nobody else. It's just you, right? You could have your supporting cast or whatever. That's got to be a very difficult existence. And when, I watched the documentary with Naomi Osaka. I couldn't watch the whole thing. It was so sad. She's sad. She's sad. She gets no joy at all from playing tennis, from winning.
But Capriati took a break. Remember, she
had to because she had drug problems. She was like 15 or 16. She had started when she was 13 years old.
Right.
And her father would show up on the courts and yell and scream. And, you look at this and, and Bianca had come out and said, that she really needed to take the break. And then I'm trying to think who else. Brooke Henderson, before she won the Avion, the major a couple weeks ago. She had to take a break. She was great to get away and be with her family and recharge. It was very important to her, and she didn't realize. I mean, and again, she's 23 years old, Brooke Henderson. And she's been grinding it out since she was like 16, 17. Never took a break, like a real break. And so, revitalized. So when you see this, you think, man, this has got to be tough. And I saw this documentary with Noah, and it was so sad. This poor girl is one of the great tennis players in the world and gets no joy from it at all. Gets no joy. Does not want to talk to people about stuff. Doesn't enjoy, just doesn't have an enjoyment. Has a sad look on her face. And, I'm thinking, what will bring her joy? And whatever it is, can she achieve that? Or can she follow that? There's something for her. But tennis doesn't seem to be it. And imagine you're running a tennis tour and you're going, oh, is this a big draw? But she said, I don't want to do it, or I don't want to talk to the media, or, that kind of a thing. It's really sad to see that. You would like to see, obviously, see joy in, these young athletes. You want to see them, they're enjoying themselves, they're competitive, but to see just the sadness of it and the kind of, I don't want to do this anymore, or I used to enjoy. You see pictures of her when she was young and she's enjoying it. And now it's like just sad. Like she can't even, if you remember when they're taking photos of her when she won the US Open that year, she couldn't even crack a smile. And when she did, it was that fake smile. It was sort of that sad look, and they're going, smile, come on, Naomi, smile. And she just sort of make that crinkly kind of like that. Man. So a lot of people are going through this, and to see it, happen before your eyes with young people.
Well, we've destigmatized this. Like there was a time when you would not ever go public about this because people would say you're weak, you're suck it up, buttercup, get out there and play. But now that we've we're talking more openly about mental health challenges, that I think she feels the freedom to express her true feelings on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it could be to the detriment of the sport, but for the betterment of her health, which is really what it's all about.
Right.
You're doing it for you. You're not doing it for other people. In golf, the LIV Tour is going to court. 3 players for the LIV Tour are going to court against the PGA, saying that they qualified for the FedEx Championship, which takes, this is the last week of the regular tours this week, and the FedEx Championship, which is a 3-tournament, countdown with the top 125 FedEx players going for big money, $10 million, all that stuff. Well, these 3 players have already qualified for the FedEx Championship due to their play on the PGA Tour before they left to go to the LIV Tour. And they're saying that they should be allowed to play in the FedEx Championships because they've already qualified. PGA Tour says, no, I'm not going to allow you to play. You've taken LIV money. You're out. Can they get away with that? The courts are going to decide. Mike, if you earned your way, if you had already been told you have qualified for the FedEx Championship, and then they said, no, sorry, you're ineligible because you joined a rival tour, how would you feel?
Oh, you'd feel bad, but I bet you anything the lawyers stuck a line in that contract or agreement that says we reserve the right. Like there's going to be that blanket statement in there that the PGA Tour can disinvite anyone for any reason they want, and I'm sure in court
that wouldn't hold up in court though.
No,
I don't think so, because the PGA Tour is already involved in an investigation by the Justice Department as to the Sherman Antitrust Act. So you know what antitrust is, right? It's a monopoly. Like right. Baseball was exempt from antitrust laws. It was a monopoly, right? No competition. PGA Tour believes it can act that way. The investigation is, do they have the right to, can they categorically say you may not earn a living some other way? And at the same time say, and we're changing our rules, even though we told you this, but you did that, so you no longer qualify. If I'm one of the players, I absolutely qualify. I absolutely should be allowed to. So we'll see what happens.
Feel shitty. That's true. No, I
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I earned it. And I don't think that the other players are going, you motherfucker, you're coming. You went to they're not. The players are going to the other guys. Look, man, good for you. I'm not going to judge you, man. You got a chance to make 20 million, 100 million, go. But if I'm playing against you, you're telling me the guy's going, fuck you, you're on the LIV Tour now? I don't know about
this
that.
PGA versus LIV thing, which
more a media fight than it is a golfer fight. It is. There's people on this side, people on that side. People who follow the PGA Tour or get paid by the PGA Tour, or their living is based on the PGA Tour, a lot of them are, like taking shots at LIV Tour people, right? But I also believe that if the LIV Tour came to them and said, hey, we'll give you 20 million, that they would go. But anyway. Brooke Henderson, the aforementioned, is battling in the Women's British Open right now. She's in their round 2 going on. She's 4 back of the leaders with many holes left to play. On the PGA Tour, it's the Wyndham Championship, the last event prior to the FedEx Championships. Listen to this leaderboard. John Huh, Sanjay Im, Brandon Wu are the leaders. So that's Huh, Im, and Wu. That's 7 letters in total, Mike, for the leaders of the Wyndham Championship. That's got to be a record. It's got to be a record. Least number of letters, surnames. Think about it. Huh, Im, Wu. That's a good one. Michael Gligic, which is, far from that, who for sure has played crosswinds in Burlington because he's from there. He's the top Canadian, 5 under par, 4 shots off the lead. Nick Taylor and Mackenzie Hughes are both at -3. Mackenzie Hughes still hasn't gotten his golf clubs or his luggage back from the British Open a few weeks ago. Like, remember I told you about that story? There was a picture of all these golf clubs at the airport in Edinburgh.
Right.
Like just tons and tons of golf clubs like lying there. And I saw it. I said, I will never leave my golf clubs out of my sight if I do that. Well, Mackenzie Hughes never got his sticks back. So he's 3 under par without his favorite, without his golf clubs, with someone else's clubs or a backup set. That's pretty good. Pretty darn good. Last week, I shot at 84 at Crosswinds. Pretty excited about that. Looking forward to there again this weekend. Just a fabulous, fabulous day. Vin Scully passed away earlier this week. I'm sure you've heard and seen as many, and there are many, tributes to Vin. I met him twice. Wonderful guy. But here's the best part of the story. So I called him the first time was in 1978. We're doing a radio thing or a tribute for Mel Allen, the great Yankees broadcaster. And my job is to contact, and I got the phone numbers of all these guys, Harry Carey, Howard Cosell, Red Barber, Ernie Harwell, Vin Scully, Jack Buck. I'm trying to think, just tons of guys, all great play-by-play guys. And I wanted to get an audio, over the phone from them, a clip, saying talking about Mel Allen. Hey, Mel, it was great. You helped me along. You're a great broadcaster. Best of luck, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Tributes to Mel Allen. And so I got all these phone numbers, and one of them is Vin Scully. Wow. Great. I'm a kid. And I dial the phone, long distance, whatever. And second ring, hello, Mr. Scully. Yeah, hi, Mark Hebscher. Hi, how are you, Mark? We're doing a thing for Mel. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's fine. Are you rolling? You're rolling. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Blah, blah, blah. And does this nice tribute, beautiful. Did you get that? Yes, thank you. Wonderful, terrific. So I say to him, I got him on the phone, and I say to him, I just want to let you know, I'm from Canada here, and I've never heard your broadcasts before, but I've heard, like, I've seen you on the Game of the Week and doing sports and stuff like that. And he said, oh, it's a wonderful thing. Tell me about Toronto, right? Tell me about Toronto. I was up there many years ago. I was in Montreal. Tell me, and we're having a conversation. I'm a kid, right? I should have taped that as well, surreptitiously, but I didn't. But anyway, long story short, all right. He says, you've got my number. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. Wonderful. All right. So we get the clip from him. It's terrific and all that. A couple of years later, I'm working in Montreal. The Dodgers are in Montreal for a series. I go into the booth. I extend my hand. I go, Mr. Scully, Mark Hebscher from Toronto. I'm working in Montreal now. He goes, huh? No, I say, Mark Hebscher. He goes, how are things? He says, you're from Toronto. What are you doing here? I'm working in Montreal now. He remembered.
Oh, wow.
And you know this, Mike, when someone famous remembers your name, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Oh.
In the world, when they call you by name, they remember. So those are my memories of Vin Scully. Like, there you go. Like,
but I'm so happy to hear that story because
wonderful. And here's and I still have this, Mike. I got the phone number still here. Wow. I'm serious. I'm going to pull the phone. I'm telling you right now, I got this number. It won't, you could call it now, but no one's going to answer.
Wow.
I have it.
We call it live on the air here. See if anybody answers.
You can leave them at, oh man. So anyway, that's the Vin Scully story. And every tribute that I heard just made me love him like even more. Every story that I heard, one story where, and I didn't know this, he was apparently filthy. Like he was filthy. He told great dirty jokes, and he dropped he could drop F-bombs and that. I'm just, oh my God. Like my mind could not comprehend.
Yeah.
Like he met.
Well, that's finding out Mr. Rodgers was.
Oh my God. But Vin Scully, like, come on. In the year of the improbable, it's the fucking impossible. Like, there's just, I could not. Like, he would have had to have changed his voice. He would have had to have like lower it a few octaves. For fuck's sake, like that. And
your parents on their honeymoon saw where the Brooklyn Dodgers played.
Yeah. My parents on their honeymoon were at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. So this was so Vin would have been doing the games.
Right, exactly.
This was 1952. So the Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. So Vin Scully would have been doing the games with Red Barber. Red Barber would have been the number one guy. Vin Scully was the number two guy in 1952. That year, they also went to Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees. Right. At the old Yankee Stadium, the real house that Ruth built. That would have been Mel Allen doing the games there on the radio. And the Giants games would have been at the Polo Grounds, and that would have been Russ Hodges. The famous call, the Bobby Thompson home run, was the Russ Hodges call. Oh.
Well, like just
Brack a throw. There's a long drive, deep left. It could be the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant.
Wow,
that was that one there. But that story was the story there was apparently Red Barber had also made the call, but he was on TV while the other one was on radio or something like that, right? They could switch back in those days. You do this inning on television and you'll do that inning on radio.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so 67 years with the same franchise. Like, that's wild when you do the math. 67 years with the Dodgers in Brooklyn and then LA. And just one go quick, and I know you know this, but just interesting that, the Joe Carter walk-off in Game 6 against the Phillies. Like, Tom Cheek's call has become like the thing of legends in Toronto. Fine.
Well, of course.
That's the Canadian radio, Tom Cheek calling it, touch 'em all Joe. Sean McDonough was doing the TV, so we all watching on TV, we saw it, Sean McDonough to make the call.
But CBS radio, though, was...
Right. Vin Scully. Yeah.
So which was the third time I met him, but I never got I sort of, like, whatever, but I never really got to, but yeah, I remember that day.
So it's just interesting that it's on YouTube right now. I actually played it on my show yesterday, but Vin Scully calling the Joe Carter. And what Vin does, which I like it in those moments, is Vin shuts up. Like, he calls it, and then he's quiet for lets the crowd
Right.
tell the story for, 90 seconds or a couple minutes or whatever. And then he kind of tells you what exactly transpired and everything. But yeah, great call because of how minimalistic it was. Like, it's a great call.
So what you need to do is the greatest call ever in baseball history. The greatest call ever was Vin Scully's call of Sandy Koufax's perfect game in 65. Right. It's considered to be like the immaculate inning, right?
Right.
Because he paints you a picture, right? First out, second out, the drama, right? It's going for a perfect game. And he creates the backdrop so that you can close your eyes and listen to this, right? Nobody saw the game unless you were at the ballpark, right? Nobody saw the game.
Right.
Only if you were at the park. So you're listening to this and you're imagining what's going on. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's a masterpiece of radio. So go to YouTube, find the final inning, and it's out there. The final inning
yesterday.
Of the radio call, the final inning of Koufax's perfect game against the Cubs. It is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Before we go, the California Angels set a record the other day that may never be broken. They hit 7 home runs against the Oakland A's in one game. All solo homers, 2 by Shohei Ohtani, and lost 8-7 to Oakland. Never happened before in baseball history. Team hits 7 home runs, loses. How about that?
Amazing. Just every time a team gets to 7, you get a little nervous because Toronto still got that record with the 10 that we hit that
right.
day. So,
do we have a final poll, or is there a?
Lots going on here. I did keep an eye on it. There are definitely fans of yours that agree with you that he should get invited. Some people say he won't accept it anyway, but they should invite him. Some people say they shouldn't invite him. I know I don't have final tallies, but I'll just say. This conversation's fun and all, but 0% chance that Robbie Alomar is invited to this. 0.
You don't know that,
right, Hebsy? You know it.
No, I don't. I don't know that at all.
Rip a sticker off his the dome and then say, "Hey, come to our."
Really? What if you went to all the other players and said, "Look, we're thinking," and all of them said, "Is Robbie Alomar going to be there?"
The Blue Jays brand, right? Like you cannot invite this man.
What if Dave Winfield says, "I'm not coming unless Robbie Alomar's there"? Joe Carter says, "I'm not going to come unless Robbie Alomar's there." Anyway, it's something for another day to discuss, but it's something to consider. It was a team. He's not a convicted felon. That's it for episode 296 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike, as always, for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike and listen to his excellent podcast. He's got some great guests. Thanks to our fabulous sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Go to crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time online, and save $10 per golfer. And thanks to you for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another exciting episode next week. Until then, have a great weekend. So long for now.